Well, hello there, friends and new friends. Today I want to talk about what to plant in April for Zone 7. It's a great month. You got some cool season stuff you can still plant, and then of course those great summer crops. We will start with these summer crops. And to keep in mind, when I'm talking about frost, you have to know your frost date. So really this information applies to Zone 6 and 8 as well. I'll leave a link down there. There's a video up there too on zones and frost dates if you're interested. But anyway, after the last frost, polar bush beans, and I got my cheat sheet here so I don't forget anything. Polar bush beans, snap, not lima. You want to wait on the lima until May. But after the last frost, you can get your beans in, pole or bush, snap beans. Cantaloupe by the 20th, and corn and cucumbers. Not by the 20th, on the 20th or later. The last week of April in Zone 7 is a good time to plant those three. I know through research corn produces best around here, and I'm Zone 7B, on the 22nd, planting them on the 22nd. And then there's field peas, or cow peas. That's the only thing on this list we're not growing. But you can start field peas as well after the last frost. And then winter and summer squash. Now, I'll make a comment about that. I know people that will start them earlier, and what they're doing is trying to beat the squash bug life cycle. Get a good quantity of fruit before the bugs do their thing. And you can also plant them later to try to beat the cycle. But down in the south, the squash bug generally has 2 life cycles in one warm season, because we have 190 growing days. So I'm not sure. I'm not saying do that. I've never tried it. I'm just saying I know some people that do that. They'll start them a little earlier and then they'll start them a little later, trying to beat that squash bug cycle. And then of course, the queen of the garden for most people, you can get your tomatoes out there. Now we gamble sometimes, put them out before the frost, but we're not recommending that. This is an experimental set of gardens, I guess you'd say. We got a little bit of everything, but we do not put all of our tomatoes out before the projected last frost. That's too risky. But if you just want to play it safe, put those out after the last frost. If you want to be extra safe, do it a week later. So this year, we're April 13th is our 70th percentile last frost date, which means there's a 30% chance after that. So if you were conservative, you would wait until the 20th or 27th of April. And in a long growing season, there's nothing wrong with that. You have plenty of time in Zone 7B to grow stuff. But if you want, your tomatoes to hit earlier, here you would put them out on the 13th and cross your fingers. And then last on my summer list here is watermelon, and we will be growing those sugar babies again, icebox. That's a great watermelon. If you've never grown those, I highly recommend them. Just think size of a bowling ball, a little bigger sometimes. They average about 8 pounds. But we had at least 3 and maybe 4 that were over 10, and I know one of them was 12 and a half or 13. I can't remember exactly, but it was a big one. That's a good watermelon, it really is. A friend of mine grows sangria, and that's really good too. So that's your roundup for after the last frost. Snap beans, cantaloupe, corn, cucumbers, field peas, winter, summer squash, tomato, and watermelon. And then there are still some cool season things you could get in until the 15th, okay? Kohlrabi, radish, and turnip, right? Kohlrabi by starts. And you can also put asparagus roots in until the 15th. Around here, you got choices. I mean, for most things, it's best to get it started in the late summer, fall, before the frost to get established. Then they can go dormant without getting stress from a brutal hot summer. That's best. You know, strawberries, blueberry, anything, grass, blackberries, asparagus, anything does better if you start it at the end of the summer. However, you still can start your asparagus root by crown before the 15th of April. And then we have two surprises here. We'll start with potatoes. You have until May 15th. If you look at this picture, you see we already have progress. Those are red Pontiacs, the most vibrant bed. They were put in on February 10th. I'm running an experiment there. I'm not recommending people duplicate what I do necessarily. There is a blog on that. You can look down in the description and check that blog out. It's a running blog. We're tracking how this goes. The plan is to protect it from the frost. But you have until May 15th. So if we lose, frost nips them out, then we just start over. Now last is New Zealand spinach. We're growing that for the first time this year. It is actually heat tolerant. Not only that, it thrives in heat. Also, it's not really a spinach. It's in a different family. But it's similar to spinach in flavor and also nutritional value. I believe it was Captain Cook discovered it on southern voyages, whenever that was, 1700s, I guess. But found it in New Zealand and Tasmania and Australia. It grows down there along the coast. So if you like spinach, you know, when it gets too hot for true spinach, they start bolting. You can replace it, you know, a few weeks before they'll bolt, you can replace it with this New Zealand spinach and have spinach almost year round. And that you would want to get in by April 30th. So for the potatoes, May 15th, and New Zealand spinach by April 30th. Well, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I think that's on the left shoulder. And if you're interested in more planning and tips, I have a playlist on that right there. And don't forget to hit our affiliate links in the description down there. There's some good sales going on. It's spring. People are selling stuff. Muck boots, Blain's Farm and Fleet. Go down in the description. You'll see our affiliates.